How do we walk when we have a limp? We use Arcane.
Maybe I can add some effects in there, some magic.
Yeah, for real. All right, are we ready to do our real intro, Jerica?
Welcome to JK Games, the game podcast where we bring you the gaming news we care about.
And maybe some that we don't.
And whether you play on easy mode,
or you like a good challenge.
This is a show where we'll try to level up your gaming and TV show knowledge.
Perfect, Jordan.
I tried to.
Wow.
Can I sound like an Imagine Dragons song? Like, that's all I know for the intro.
That's what like half their songs sound
well,
like.
We can't really sing it because then I think that would get in trouble.
Yeah.
Is that how he sounds? Like, what's the guy's voice? Okay. There we go.
That's basically
meow,
it.
meow, 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 meow. That's
if you just meow it, you're fine. That gets right past the FCC. So.
I am one of your hosts, Kayla, because we always forget to introduce ourselves before we dive into our discussion.
Yeah, we forget that. That's the most important step of having a show. I'm Jerica, the other host, and today you might have already noticed there's another person here. Hey, we have a special guest. His name's Jordan.
Hi.
Look at him.
Returning
Behold.
guest.
Yes.
He also loves arcade, so that's why he's here.
I do. A newfound lover of Arcane.
Nice.
Jordan, for the children watching, well, hopefully not children because of some things we'll be discussing later.
Yeah,
but
for
for everyone wondering, when did I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but when did you start? How long did it take you to watch from beginning to end? Arcane season 1 and 2.
Technically, it took me like a week, but that's only because I started season 1 on the day before they dropped Act 2 of season 2.
Okay.
So I watched season 1, episode 1 through season 2, Act 2 between a Friday and a Monday. So like
That's awesome.
15 episodes in like 3 or 4 days.
I mean, if I had all the episodes, I would have done the same thing for sure.
Yeah. So then I had to just like sit there twiddling my thumbs for like, 5 or 6 days and then watch the last 3, which is easier to do than the 4-year gap that
3 years. Yeah.
folks like Jerica had to sit through. So
Yeah, it sucked.
It's
Count my
been
blessings.
84 years.
Yeah.
That was Jerica.
I'm glad you shared, like, obviously got hooked really fast, and we'll get into it later, but like you went through it really quickly and you just got hooked. Like, it hooks you in really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I just said a lot of the same words over and over. Anyways, one of my good friends plays games a lot. But Jordan, you've never played League of Legends, have you? Have you played League of
correct.
Legends?
I have not.
Okay, cool. My friend, I'll say it's Haley. One of my friends, Haley, she plays Red Dead Redemption. Big Last of Us fan. There's big story-driven, AAA situations. And, for her, I was like, hey, it's based off a video game. You're not going to want to play it. I'm going to play League of Legends again soon. And I used to play a lot in college. I will play it again. Not saying it's a bad game. But for her, I was like, don't look up anything about the game. Don't play the game.
Yeah.
But I promise you the show is really good. We don't really talk about shows like animation, anime, or anything like that really together a lot. We just talk about a few games here and there. And I texted her, I was like, hey, if you gotten into it, because it was just a few days that she got home from her vacation, she's like, I'm going to try it. I was like, hey, if you got really into it, I'd love to watch the last 3 episodes. Like, I've seen you a long time. Please come over. And I had already watched the last 3 episodes, and I was texting her like, hey, you want to come over when you wrap up and watch the last 3 with me? I want to see you react. And she's like, girl, I couldn't stop. I watched the whole thing. I am caught up with you. So
Nice.
like,
That's
even
fun,
to that point,
though.
like someone that's like, I wouldn't have thought, like, I thought she would like it, but I didn't think she would like it that much, where she just sped through it and finished it.
That's
So,
awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to
Oh no, personal
go off
story.
on that, but
It's if you are listening and you have joined because like you're an Arcane super fan, normally our typical content is video game related content. We do some other TV thing. Well, really the only other TV thing we've done is The Last of Us show, which we have a whole separate other podcast dedicated to, Clickbait, which we will be reigniting for season 2 whenever that happens. But I guess before we dive in, I'll go ahead and start with our housekeeping. We got a little bit of things that are coming up. So we're going to do our loadout. Everybody ready? Loadout. Did you?
I might have just grabbed the conversation and took away from Jordan. Real quick,
Yes.
Jordan,
What?
where can
No.
hey, you've been on a couple of pieces of content with us and also always in the chat supporting us. Big fan of you and a big fan of you being a fan of us, obviously. What do you do and where can people find you after they hear your amazing critique of Arcane?
My usual stuff is mostly video essay style content over on YouTube at Cognitive Clips, cognitive-clips, if you're doing it at the youtube.com/@ thing. Otherwise, you can see me on Threads, Instagram, Blueski. I'm over there too. Posting just random gaming related stuff most of the time. But yeah, big fan of JK Games Podcast. Love to be in the chat for JK Games Podcast.
So kind. Always in the chat.
Yes.
You can count
Water's
CC
warm.
in the chat. But you guys
Hop in.
definitely, I love watching Jordan's content because I feel like his deep dives are very unique. I really like the way that he does his voiceover and his like specific stylized content. So definitely go check it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so the other things that are going on this week, speaking of all of us, tomorrow I will be joining Spotlight Games, friends of the show, to do an episode. We haven't fully committed to exactly what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. We're going to be diving into Patrick, one of the co-hosts of Spotlight, is playing Life is Strange Double Exposure. So we're going to talk about that some. We're also going to talk about just the gaming news for the week. So if you want to come join us over there tomorrow night at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. And then Jordan has something else going on this week too, right?
Yes, also on Spotlight Games. Patrick, same gentleman. He's gonna be hopping back into Animal Well for the first time in a while. And I'm gonna be kind of riding shotguns because I adored that game. Got all the achievements on Steam and the trophies on PS5, both. So did it
Nice.
twice. That's how much I love the game. So I'm gonna be the weirdo fanatic riding shotgun, helping him out if he needs it, or otherwise just shooting the shoot back and forth. So
And that is
Having fun.
7 Central, 8 Eastern on Thursday.
yes, on Thursday the 5th. Yes.
Cool. Other things, of course, you can always follow us as a podcast on Instagram, Twitter. I think we have Blue Sky now, thanks to Jerica, YouTube. We do our episodes live every Monday, typically around 8:30 Central. And you can go follow us on all social platforms at JK Games Podcast everywhere. Yeah, that's really it for us. Jerica, do you have anything to plug? Jerica Chu on all socials.
Listen, if anything I want to advertise, this is my chapped lip. So if you see me, I just want to address the elephant in the room. Like if you're looking that close, hey, yeah, my lip's really chapped. I have the tendency to bite my lip. And then I was watching Arcane again today, so I could be ready for this. And
She bit her lip even
it's
harder.
not necessarily a nail biter; it is a lip biter. So
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So I know it's there.
Sure is.
I'm tending to it. I have this special,
Salve.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
good. This is
That-
the good stuff. Like it is repairing my lip as we speak.
Sponsored by.
But also, if you
Uh,
did notice her chapped lip in the video, then drop in the comments what your monitor is, because that would be like the most insane resolution to be able to like zoom in that close. Like, we've been on video chat for like 30 minutes. I haven't noticed a single thing except for her saying,
That's so funny.
It's all I can see right now.
we
It's so big.
we are going to semi follow our normal routine of our easy mode, where we talk about what we've been playing, what we've been honestly watching, all mainly just Arcane. I don't know about you guys, but I literally binged the whole season again today to be able to talk about this with you guys, because I really want to have some discussion. And other than that, we can talk about what we've been playing. Jordan can start us off as our special guest. What have you been
Aw.
playing, Jordan, for our easy mode?
Yeah, so I was in a little bit of like a gaming funk for like most of last month, so couldn't quite
happens.
tell if it was like mental health or just like being burnt out from playing too many games or whatever it was. So
Mhm.
like I picked up the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake for Switch, and like um Patrick would agree with me. There's a bit of a slog getting like the third main chapter, and I was like, just like, man, like this isn't, I loved it as when I was growing up, but it just wasn't like really hitting it for me. And I got through the slog, and I'm still like enjoying it mostly, but I don't know, I was just looking for something else, and so I finally saw all these sales for Black Friday and stuff, and I decided to, instead of buying a bunch of stuff outright, to re-up a Game Pass for PC subscription for like a month to check some
Yeah.
stuff out. So I've jumped into Persona 3 Reload for the past few
Okay.
days, which has been pretty cool. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Persona. I played probably less of 5 than I've already played of 3. So yeah, I liked what I saw. I just didn't stick with it. I think I like sold my PS4 not long after that to get something else. I'm kind of fickle with technology. Uh, but then I also I want to definitely plug this one because I feel like it's a lot lesser known, a lot lesser less well advertised for sure. Is that
Mhm.
a Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess?
Ooh.
It's also on Game Pass, PC and console, I'm guessing. And it's like there's a specific type of action strategy game that they like refer to it as in like the official description, but I can't remember what that is right now. But a lot of people like kind of compare it to tower defense. So essentially,
Okay.
um, there's a maiden who is like trying to help cleanse this holy mountain so that the goddess can return and wipe away the defilement, and you are her protector, the maiden's
Okay.
protector. And so you're going through, and during the day you are kind of like removing defilement and recruiting like the villagers and assigning them roles like woodcutter or archer. And then once
I love
nighttime
that.
falls, right? Once nighttime falls, then the demons start pouring out of the infested torii gates, and
The
so then you like
damage.
the
Scary.
demons. So then you
The
fight them off, and you
damage.
get more currency to assign more roles to villagers, or allow the maiden to walk a cleansed path to the torii gate to cleanse it, and then you go on. It is a lot of fun. Like I think I've
Okay.
only put maybe like an hour and a half into it, but it's like it's one of the types of games that it immediately just shows you exactly what you're going to be getting.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a place for games like the Persona games or Metaphor and all these other games where there's a slow build and there's a million twists and turns along the way, but this was one that
Mhm.
you're just like, okay, you're gonna slash these demons in the face with your beautiful dancing sword routine, and then you're gonna let her walk the path, and you're gonna move this guy over, and go into the tactical mode and move this archer over here on the ledge so he can shoot the flying ones or whatever else. And like I'm so hooked. So like
That's cool.
it's kind of rare for me to these days to jump back and forth on the same system for different games like that, but I wanted to experience both in this month that I bought myself for Game Pass. So that's kind of where I've been the past few days.
Nice. Is it a
Yeah.
new release?
It came out this year.
Okay.
I think it was maybe over the summer ish.
I'll have to pick it up.
But yeah, it's like really cool, and a lot of people have said this on the interwebs, and I agree that it's like just a really like infused with like Japanese culture and stuff that I'm not like overly familiar with. So like the protector that you're playing as, like I wasn't joking, like his at least the default that you start the game with, like the attacks are very dance like, very like
that's cool.
flowy. And the maiden, like part of the cleansing ritual is like doing a dance, so you're like you cleanse these gates, and like you and the maiden and all the villagers like doing this like synchronized, almost reminds of like one of the Haka, right? I think they're called, from the Maori tribes.
I think so.
Like it almost reminds me of that, where it's like this like synchronized like dancing stuff. It's like this is like really cool
That's
to watch,
awesome.
and like it's got some flair to it. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Cool. What about you, Jerica?
Flare Bay.
I'm
dropping
just still
flair.
playing Dragon Age, the Veil Guard. I'm making
The
some
Veil's
story
guarding.
progress. I'm making some story progress, and I'll say that I have finally have had a companion ask me if they want to get sort of serious. which has put me still in a
Ooh.
bind because
Going steady.
well, it's not, but it puts in like a note, like I guess it lets me know that like it's not a hard dedication. I
Okay.
don't know why I said hard dedication, but
Situationship.
yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know where things are going yet. I just know that they finally were like, okay, this person's flirting with me, and I have been flirting with them the whole game, and they finally acknowledged it. So
Wow.
that's pretty cool.
I
And
bet it was the mullet. The mullet finally won them over.
well, actually, I changed the hairstyle, so I think it's that. Sometimes the mullet just won't work.
The mullet was holding you
But
back.
now that you say it, now that you've said that, now I'm a little scared that it was the mullet the whole time. Yeah, in the
High
game,
School
I've decided
Weekly-
it's been long enough now that the character's hair's grown out. So looking very
Oh, yeah.
Zelda-like, like
Ooh,
Zelda,
okay.
long elf-like. Okay,
That's cool.
Nice.
but that's
Is that
it.
all
That's
you've
I've
been playing?
playing. Yes, that's the only thing I am going to play. Yeah, I know. I was supposed to be kicked out of the house if I wasn't done by now.
Here
She's got
she
her
is. She's still
AirPods
here.
in, so she don't know. So don't say it. She doesn't know
Secret
the
secrets are no fun.
date I had
Jericho.
to be done by yet. I don't think she remembers.
I won't. My lips are sealed.
Okay.
Game
My
Over
lips are
Shoulder said
chapped.
she's smooching on the veil. That's
Mhm.
funny.
Keeping my options
I-
open.
I have been still playing Life is Strange Double Exposure. Jordan actually called me out for leaving my game open to where now it says I've been playing it for 56 hours. I still haven't beat it 56 hours later. Here we are.
It's a
but
12-hour
no,
game. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I speed ran it, I guess, in the opposite direction. I just
Slow
tried to
ran
play
it?
slow ran it, yeah. I have been playing that. I did, in fact, leave it stuck open. I'm on chapter 4, so I'm about half. I think there's 8 chapters total. No, I think there's only. Wait, is there only 4 chapters? I don't remember.
I think there's 5.
I'm getting there.
I think.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting there. It's really enjoyable. I'm having a hard time, or having a good time, not a hard time. Apparently, I'm having a hard time. But the other game I've been playing in between, obviously, I've been playing some Fortnite. I streamed some last night. There's a new season out that's actually really fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend playing with your friends. There's some new abilities. Obviously, there's new skins and guns that come with a new season. It's always just fun to drop in, pick a place on the map, go and just have a fun time playing a battle royale. That's kind of the 2 things I've been playing. I did mention last week I started playing this really fun indie farming game. Of course, it's me, Luma Island. I still have been playing that every once in a while. It's kind of one that I like to just play more chill, in the background if I'm not wanting to dive into a big story. But that's really it for me so far this week.
I've seen somebody else playing that one too.
Really?
Well, Mutual Ready Player Poet is what he goes by on YouTube.
Oh,
That's
cool.
been, putting some videos up of his cozy islands and stuff that he's making with the Luma, right? Luma
Nice.
Islands. Yeah.
Luma Island, yeah. It's really, the art's really pretty. I don't really know how to describe it. It's pixelated, but in a way that it kind of reminds me a little bit of Sea of Stars, the way it looks. Yeah, he said. But yeah, so that's all I've been playing because I've been watching the heck out of Arcane. I didn't quite binge it as fast as Jordan did, but I watched it all and then I was like, I need to rewatch it. So I rewatched it all again today. So I am ready to dive in and talk about it. Jordan created our outline and it is spectacular. So I feel
Shucks.
like he should kick us off into discussion of our
That's
expert mode.
the 3rd compliment you guys have given me tonight. Stop.
I'm just so
Praise.
thankful for this organization because I don't think I could have done it. Mm-mm.
That's the real reason Jerica invited me on. She's like, I don't want to make an outline. Jordan, you did this thing, right?
Please. I mean, it was maybe 10% of it, but the rest is because I was like, I cannot wait to hear him talk about Arcane with me.
Well, shucks. Either way, I'm happy to be
Yes.
here. So,
Yes.
yeah, the spoiler wall will not go up quite yet. So if you're still in the chat, don't worry. Yeah, I think we should just kick things off. Just top level, spoiler free. What did you think overall of season 2, Jerica?
Shrika.
Should I give it a number?
If you'd like.
Yeah.
That way you can sort of see where my head's at. Because
This is your show.
You know, it is, isn't it? But I want your permission, Jordan. I want your permission.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
I think I give it an 8 out of 10, which I know sounds like, oh my God, why is it not perfect?
No.
Nothing's perfect. But
Nothing's
God bless
perfect.
America. They
Except
got
for
so
The
close.
Last of
Maybe
Us
an
Part 2.
8.5.
Sorry.
And we'll get into a little bit later, and I'm sure everyone here has some critiques. Overwhelmingly positive emotions from me, though.
Mhm.
A lot of I was really hesitant with how they were going to land the plane. There was a lot of folks on this plane, and I did not know if they were going to land it, and was everyone still going to be in their seat with their seatbelts on, like safely? Did they safely land?
Yeah.
And based on the time they had and what story arcs they were sort of able to wrap up, shed some light on, I think they managed for the main characters that definitely happened. There's some points where I definitely had to do a rewatch because it was just such a spectacular thing to watch. But because we're limited to only 9 episodes, and I think the longest episodes, the last one, it was 50 minutes. But that's not a lot of time to tell this much story. There was so much story. I was like, how are they going to wrap it up? And I think because of those constraints, that's where some of my critical thinking or like my critiques come into play is just, man, I wish that would have had a little bit more time to cook.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm so glad it exists. It's probably one of my favorite shows. Like, it is a favorite show. I can't really, I need to do a top 5 shows of all time, but it is in the top 5 shows of all time.
It'd be a
for
fun
me.
episode to do with some
Mhm.
people.
Mm-hmm. Season 1,
I know a
season
couple
2.
people.
I'm thinking like like together. Obviously, I'm thinking about
Mhm.
the show as a series
A
together.
unit.
But yeah, phenomenal series. I cannot believe it's based on League of Legends. What the hell? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Kayla, how about you? What are some of your top level thoughts?
I will go ahead and preface my top level thoughts by saying I'm not a very critical person. So like when it comes to like media, I'm not super like zoomed in, like let me get really granular and like rip it apart. I'm very much like if I had a good time, I had a good time, and I had a great time watching the show. I thought it was excellent. I have no prior attachment to any of these characters or this game at all. I know nothing about it outside of what I have learned from watching the show. So I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I think that the character development is like top notch, which is what I'm always interested in. I'm very much I'm a more character driven person than a plot driven person. Obviously I like both, but the show does both so well that it's really top tier for me also. And I obviously have some critiques like Jerica does too, but I had a good time and I can't wait to like talk more in depth about it. But I would definitely recommend it. Even if you're not necessarily someone who's into animated shows, I think you need to at least give it a shot for how like uniquely beautiful it is also.
And just because the very first episode of season 1, there's a lot of really good interviews out there with some of the writers for the show. But they talked about like they did, speaking to Kayla saying like it's an animated show, but it's unlike anything I've ever watched. Like in terms of the type of animation, it is in a league of its own. I almost should have had a joke, League of Legends. But they, in an interview, they were talking about they took a really big risk with the first episode because the whole episode was just them. It was just them as kids. So like animated show, you're watching kids being dumb kids. The first episode, your first impression of the series sometimes doesn't land too well. And even that sort of happened with me. And I was like, oh, it's just like kids doing dumb stuff the whole time, whatever. Because I didn't know anything really. Like I played League, but I wasn't too deep into it. So it was interesting that was the way they started. They took a really risky move when they started, but man, it paid off having that backstory in the moment.
Yes.
So, just because it's like that first episode's got some silly, goofy kids running around doing dumb stuff and it's animated, please don't don't shy away, keep going.
Yes.
Incredible show.
Because the goofs turn to oopsies real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan, but what about you? What's your top level thoughts?
My first thought is that was a really great sentence. The goofs turn to oopsies. That was just
Yeah.
put that on my tombstone. But no, I really, really enjoyed it. As we talked about earlier, my perspective is probably a little skewed just because I like inhaled the entire series in the span of 8 or 9 days as opposed to over the span of a couple of years or even a couple of weeks. So I definitely agree with some of what Jericho was saying as far as the plot lines. Maybe some of them didn't have enough time to breathe or to cook or however you want to phrase that. But overall, it was just watching it, is the animation is just incredible. The closest thing I could compare it to, which again, it's not going to be like a 1-to-1 comparison, so don't quote me like that. Don't misquote me like that.
Don't quote me like that.
It's like the Spider-Verse movies, as far as just like how unique it is. Like there are a couple of similar techniques that they may use as far as messing with the frames per second to like as part of the storytelling, or the weird little jagged, almost like neon little flashes of this or that to emphasize a certain character state of mind or just accentuate like a piece of the setting. But it really is just incredible to watch through. The characters are great, and it was I can't remember. I probably heard a million people talk about it, honestly, so I don't know exactly what prompted me to start watching it, aside from just season 2 had started and people were freaking out about it. So I was like, you know what, may as well try it out, and I'm glad that I did. So,
yeah,
very much enjoyed season 2 as well.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
You had another question about how do we feel, and for those who aren't familiar, it released in 3 different acts of 3 episodes, which the episodes are very digestible. Most of them are only like 30 to 40 minutes, except Jericho, didn't you say the last one's almost an hour? Is that right?
Yeah, it was 15 minutes. I saw I noticed that today when I was watching, trying to see if I had time to watch one more before we did this. I was like, that was the longest, I think. I mean, that's how the first season was too. But yeah, it's a unique move, and I think it's really smart way of releasing it, because it's almost like you get the show you don't go through it in one weekend. Like you get to create, each act sort of ends on like a mini cliffhanger, and I think it's cool. Like for the whole week, we're just everybody in the that's following the show is just like trying to predict what's going to happen next, and it creates a whole other extra layer of excitement instead of everyone just eating it all at once. So I love that they do that.
Yeah, I think
not
it's unique.
Not to correct you on your own show, but I just double checked because I was like, again, I saw it recently and way too quick of a spurt. But it looks like almost every episode is actually more like 40 minutes, so they're even like a little bit longer than what you would normally think of for like a TV show that's not quite an hour, but not quite 30 minutes either. But yeah, you were on the nose though. The finale,
the perfect sitting though for it's basically like watching a really good movie almost,
right?
Because
exactly.
like that time aligns with that. So, because they always it's the acts also sort of complete a story in itself, and it builds on each other. So it's really cool structure. Movie. I personally don't know of another show that's done something like that kind of release.
Yeah,
do y'all?
I don't think I do either.
I feel like it's something that we have seen some of since streaming services came out and started releasing exclusive shows, because like Jericho was saying, you kind of do lose that feeling, for example, when you would watch a show, I know one of Jericho's favorite shows is Lost, which by the way, kind of side tangent, when I was watching the behind the scenes YouTube thing, I think some of the writers from Lost are actually on this show. At least one lady was a writer for Lost and is a writer for this show.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch the whole Bridging the Rift?
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't get to watch the whole documentary on YouTube, which Jordan, have you watched that?
I didn't even know that existed. No.
Oh my God, you're about to have, it's like watching the show again with a different lens. It's awesome. It was so, it's so good. Unfortunately, they're not going to do it again for season 2, but
Rude.
they do like the behind the scenes like making the first season. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
It's like 30-minute episodes on YouTube, but I heard that, and I don't know, Jerica, maybe you can fact check me, but I thought I heard them say that one of the writers was a writer on Lost.
I don't know
And
who
then
it
she
was.
came.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm
That would
pretty.
explain why some of the questions weren't answered. So, yeah.
Huh? Oh, there you go. Yeah, it hit me.
But all that to say, the reason why I even brought that up was like in the past, what we were used to is like the weekly release, right, of the episode.
Right.
You would go home and you talk to your friends. Oh my God, did you see this week's episode? Like, but you can't really. That's not the world we really live in anymore. Typically, is these streaming services are coming out with exclusive series where they can most of the time release them all at once. So I think it's a cool like in between, right, where you can like have a little bit of a binge and then also be able to like pause and discuss with your friends. So
Right. Kind of like
But I
Agatha
think
all
it
along
worked.
had like a 2-episode premiere and a 2-episode finale and like one in between kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's a good example of one thing that did it is that, and I feel like that did it pretty well too. Except I didn't like the ending of that show, but that's another
Another
episode
show.
for another time. But do we feel like that worked well for this? I know we kind of touched on it, but I feel like it worked well. I definitely had a preference for, and maybe we can discuss this more when we get into spoilers. But like I do
Yeah.
think some of them were a little bit better, like sectioned off than others. But
Yeah,
I still thought it worked well.
overall, I do think it worked well. Again, we'll go into further detail later, but I'll just say off the top that the kind of divide between Act 2 and Act 3 was kind of jarring, but not in like the way that they maybe would have intended. Don't want to say too much more than that right now. But, yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah. And the
well, no,
last
you
one,
had. Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Lead us.
I'm so
Lead
ready to
us.
spoil the crap out of this thing. I don't
Yeah,
like
last,
I don't like a fence around my mouth. I feel like my tongue can't get out of this fence, which is my teeth.
Unfence her mouth.
My
unfence
tongue's
it.
like, let me out.
I'm gonna go ahead and pin the. I'm gonna go ahead and pin the comment.
Oh no.
Here we go.
All right. Sorry, Jerica's tongue. One last quick question, and then we're going to go
Okay.
full spoilers, bulls out of the pen, all that. Which character had your favorite arc from season 2?
That's tough.
Yeah.
All
there's a
of
lot good
them.
ones.
I'll make Jerica go first because this is her show.
I'm literally thinking. I'm trying to decide.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
It is. I'll probably say Jinx. I'll just go ahead and let Jerica keep thinking. I'll probably say Jinx.
She's in the. I'm torn between her and someone else. Let me rewind for a second because I have something else to add before I say this. So, like, there was a interview. It wasn't an interview. It was actually AMA on Reddit. So, Ask Me Anything, and it was maybe a couple of years ago. And three of the writers I think the three main writers from the show were answering questions and about the next season. And someone asked, like, what can we expect from these characters along those lines? And they said, well, expect the opposite from them. So, knowing that, like me trying to figure out what could happen to these characters in season 2 was, you have an idea, but you're really excited to start seeing those things. There was like basically the opposite of themselves. So with that being said, I was really, I loved Caitlin's art this season. I think hers was the best, in my opinion. I'm going to stick with
good.
that. It was really cool. Just seeing, I think in every act, it was something different with her. And it was really cool to see a few things. And I really, no jokes intended or lack of, that was a joke. I will say this. I won't say any, actually, take that back because we're not spoiling things yet. So I can't talk.
Almost. You're almost there.
Close.
You're almost there. Kayla,
But yeah,
send us there.
number 2 is Jinx. So for me, yeah, because once again, having the characters sort of be being the opposite of who they were in season 1 was really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of want to be different, and I agree with both of yours. I think one character that I think had like an arc that surprised me was Victor.
Mhm.
And like, I mean, you can kind of, no spoilers still, but you can kind of tell the direction that he's going in. But like towards the end of the season, I was like, wow, like thinking about where we started with him, and I'm all on like Arcane TikTok and watching these like the editors go crazy like with this show. And so I did not rewatch I still have only seen season 1 once, so I kind of want to go back and watch it just for like a comparison's sake. But season 2, I think Jace and Victor, their arcs and their story is something that there's definitely
Audrey would
a
be
lot.
so happy you said that.
Reminder, full spoilers, here we go. Save the
Yeah.
day.
Oh, we haven't done it yet? He saved the
We
day.
did. I mean, we did. We did.
We've
Kinda
given
did.
plenty of warnings now.
All right, Jordan, where are we starting? Where are we dropping, Jordan?
We're dropping over in Act 1, bro.
Yeah.
Parachute.
Literally,
Um,
the first note I have from Act 1 is Savika is a badass bitch. Like,
Ooh, she is.
she's such a badass bitch. I love her.
Man.
Remind me what was her kind of arc in Act 1? Remind me, because again, it's all kind of a blur to me at some points.
Yeah, so
Sure.
Savika was basically like Vander's number 2.
Oh, sorry, I mean
Um,
like her in Act 1. Like, what was
Oh,
her
yeah.
like?
Oh, in season 2 or 1? Sorry.
Sorry, I remember who she is. I just can't remember what
No, I was
she
about to
did.
tell you, give you her whole backstory, dude.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
What would you
Continue.
like me to do? Season 1 arc? I was about to start from the moment she was
Go.
born. I'm just kidding, not
She
really.
was born in
I was
the
make sure
darkness.
but I also don't want to ramble if I'm getting the question wrong or answering the question wrong.
I meant more for season 2 this time.
Oh, never mind then. I was about to give you all the backstory on Savika because I'm also obsessed with Savika. I like her a lot.
she's so cool.
I guess
like a strong
trying
lady.
to find her place with Silco being gone. You
Yeah.
know, she's always been, well, to my point earlier, always been the number 2 to the leader for
Mhm.
Zahn.
Yeah.
She's always been like the hand, the bodyguard,
hand.
but also like the person, the person that's like getting stuff done for this said leader. And without Silco there, it's just like all these goons are fighting over being the boss and the big baddie
Yes.
of Zahn to lead us to this revolution. So Savika's sort of lost. I feel like she felt like, who is it, me or is it Jinx?
Hello.
How do I partner with Jinx now? Where do we go from here? Because it's still a mess, and this is just getting worse because everyone's fighting for power. So,
Yeah.
I guess it's just with that one, just Savika trying to figure out how she's going to continue. Because in her heart, like she wants to protect Zahn and lead Zahn. Like that's what she's done with Vander since the first season. Like that was her place was with Vander. So yeah, I was really interested to see how, because I don't think she knows that Jinx killed Silco. Was that ever shared at all in the show? Because she ever learned like that Jinx actually killed him?
I feel like Jinx
Um,
always says that like he got killed. Like I don't think she ever actually expresses out loud that it was her who pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Not that I see Savika being like really upset. Probably more likely not surprised. But
Right.
I was wondering if that moment ever come up because I watched it again. And I was like, I don't think Savika knows that
But
Jinx killed him.
I forget what scene this was or like who she was talking to, but the scene where Jinx like falls from the top of the roof and like lands on the table and she like has a little pin thing where she's like, oh, I did it for him every day. I feel like she says it there, but I don't remember who she's talking to.
Okay. Yeah.
But either way,
regardless,
I think she is talking to Savika.
regardless, I was eager to see like their dynamic after that going down. Like two people that worked for Silco always butted heads. They never got along. And just seeing how their relationship plays out in this season is
Mhm.
really good.
Yeah. I feel like
And I
you give
like
a pretty
how-
good. Oh, sorry.
oh no, I'm sorry. Just really quick, I like how like they do work together against like the odds, and you can tell that they both like are struggling with their place in this like new
Mhm.
world. But like the opening scene where Savika is fighting Smeech and like that like whole scene, I just feel like it's so like beautifully like animated. Like I love
It was so good.
everything about it, where she gets her like arm gun. And again, we were talking about this when Jericho went to the bathroom, but I don't know the words for any of the weapons, and I also don't know like if they're all accurate to the game or what exactly.
That's so like that arm. Like I don't think Savika's a playable character in the game. And also that arm is a brand new arm, which who knows, that could be added to a game. But yeah, you don't have it. There's some. It's mainly like the main characters that are in League will have some, like Jinx has a lot of her weapons from the game. But yeah,
gotcha.
that whole scene was an incredible spectacle.
Jordan, you were saying something.
No, all good. Yeah, I was saying that, Jericho, you kind of gave a pretty good synopsis of Act 1 as a whole when you were talking about Savika. So it really is kind of the power vacuum in Zaun now that Silco's out of the picture, and now that Jinx has kind of blown up half of the council in Piltover. And so the other kind of one large thing for Act 1 is that power vacuum and who's filling it and how Zaun's going to operate now. And then the other part of it being Caitlyn and the squad trying to hunt down Jinx and put her down like the dog she is.
And then you get Victor being emo Jesus.
Dude was just trying to die, you know? They had to bring him back. This Jesus was like, please don't. Or else.
Yeah.
I didn't want to return.
No, and I don't blame him, honestly. Fair enough. And like that, obviously that changes like the dynamic between him and Jace, which I ship fully. Just want everyone to know that.
Well, once again, Audrey she totally agrees. That's all she talked about.
Yeah, I mean, he calls him his partner multiple times. So, I mean, like, I don't know what else you need.
He meant lab partner.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm a Victor apologist. That's all.
I'm gonna be honest. Like the that first scene that they have together in season 1, I thought that was like where it was heading.
Yeah.
Like where he, stops him from jumping to his own death in the rain or whatever. But like I felt like that was like, oh, they're gonna have like a little fling, but no.
Not to say that like they can't have platonic same gender relationships. That's also fine. But I mean, it's a fandom. We're gonna, you know.
They should have just went all in, just make everyone, you know, a couple that you really wanted. You know, everyone could win in this show. And we almost did. Everybody almost left happy. So
almost.
Well, are we still summarizing just the first act?
Yeah,
because I was gonna bring up like while we're talking at least because I have a few like screenshots from that. I don't know, like one little highlight before we move on is like with the very first episode, first scene. I think it's the first scene, like with the Caitlyn's mom's funeral, is all done in charcoal. Like that's charcoal drawings, like
what?
And I love like, you know, as a whole, like each act sort of has like a different kind of style, like with the art design. And I love like for this specific art, like they start off with like just charcoal drawings, and we'll talk about the next act, how that one opens up. Or maybe it's not the next act, but like I think it's the third episode. Just like some of the art, creative channels they take.
It's so good.
It's so good. I have some screenshots for that. Sorry, I'm getting on our ramble here. I'm gonna put up some.
No, you're good. You're perfect.
Stuff up here now.
Yeah, that first episode definitely. We can start bringing up the highlights from some of the act, because I had told these ladies before we went live that as one does, as I think Kayla, I can't remember if we were live yet or not, but you know, Kayla was mentioning earlier too that she's usually doing something while she's watching TV.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's kind of my night, you know, my routine. I'll just throw something on the TV while I'm like playing my Switch on the couch or something. And I was playing some Paper Mario, and then toward the middle / end of episode 1 of Act 1, like they're having this memorial service for the council members that Jinx just obliterated. And you can tell that something's not right. like people are starting to shuffle in that are dressed suspiciously, and like Vi starts to clock that some people are like pushing through the crowd that probably shouldn't be, and like heading for the stage, and like the scene that plays out is just phenomenal. Like I was sitting there just like staring, like,
Yeah,
oh,
mouth
right. I
agape.
just like, yeah, exactly, mouth
Yeah.
agape. I had to just like, oh, I'm not messing with this one. I had to like, I was like, oh, this is so tense. I just like sleep mode. Bye, Mario.
Yeah, that's
I'll-
a
It
I'll
good
needs your
image. you
full
have pulled up.
attention. That's like, also like sort of like a quote for the whole series. It's like it needs your full attention because
Yeah,
it's like little things you'll miss, and just the action goes so fast
It
you
does.
can't take it all in.
I think a
Yeah.
good subtitle for the series as a whole would also be "This is why we can't have nice things." Just
this is why we can't have nice. By
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. Sorry.
I always forget that
Anyways.
she has a song called that.
Yeah, she does. But no, yeah, and I mean, like it, and also like power corrupts too, like in the way that like we talked about with Jason and Victor, like he doesn't want to be back and
Jesus.
doesn't want to be responsible, and like the positions of power that like Mel and Caitlin get put into, like kind of against their will and kind of like forced into this position, and like made to make these decisions based off of like a lot of emotion, a lot of, I mean, I cried multiple times in the first episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they're like, and you brought up a good point, and that's why I was really eager to see where Caitlin sort of became the opposite of what she was in season 1. Both her and
It was a
Mel
really well done arc.
Yeah.
Really well done arc.
are just like so put in a cage or put in a place to where this is what's expected of them.
Yeah.
Maybe Mel not so much, or at least like she doesn't think that, and we'll get in here when we start talking about her mother here in a minute.
Oh,
But Mel thinks
The
she's
real
pretty
problem.
free to do what she wants. Like she was exiled and sent to Piltover from Noxus, like where her mother lives and rules a little. Like she's not the ruler of Noxus, but one of the main people. But just seeing these characters that have always seen a path, where they're finally sort of forced to choose their own path. And I know it's just a very general statement, but it's just cool to see them sort of forced to do it.
yeah.
And how they react. And that's, beauty of the show is just like how characters react in the situations they're put in. It's just good writing because it's always a situation you don't want for them, but like, I really want to see how this plays out.
Right.
So it keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Definitely a situation
Yeah.
where like when they go down those darker paths or they make the wrong choices, or things that we would consider wrong choices, it's not out of the blue. You're like, I completely understand and can see why they did it, but baby, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like
What y'all think about
Don't do it.
the fight? One of my favorite parts of episode 1 or season 2 episode 1 was this character's name's Remy. Jace accidentally killed her son last season.
Yeah.
when her
you
and
knew that
Oh,
was
yeah.
going to
him
come
and
back.
Vi-
I remember you mentioning
yeah,
that.
came
Yeah.
went and like tried to try to like take care of some of the undercity folks to get them off Piltover's back, but they went down there.
I think they were trying to shut down the
Shimmer
production.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
then the kid kind of like got the jump on him, and I can't remember, was the kid even was the kid armed or just
No,
completely innocent?
I don't think
can't
so.
remember.
I think they got actually
Okay.
knocked off a platform, like fell to their death, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh, okay.
it was an
Yeah,
accidental
and-
bump, I think. But the mom's here. Mom's one of the ones that shows up and like starts
Yeah.
causing mayhem here. But her hunting down Jace was almost like a horror movie. Like it was scary,
Yeah.
creeping
that
around.
was so good. I forgot.
The like
about- oh, yes,
neon
that was
light,
so
the
good.
green light that's like bouncing off the like chainsaw weapon was
She's like
Yeah.
stabbing
so
through the boxes he's hiding
awesome.
behind and stuff. Like,
yeah, it's terrifying.
That was a good scene.
And he didn't have his
definitely a good
hammer,
scene.
and he like finds this like little baby hammer. You remember
and
that?
he's
When he,
like, I can
replaced-
work with
Yeah,
this.
yeah. That's true.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I liked that. The other, obviously, like other things that happened in Act 1, the addition of Isha. Is it Isha or Isha?
Isha.
I think.
Yeah.
Isha. They don't say it super often, so I have to like think about it. But
Oh, it's-
obviously, like a very a very blatant representation of Jinx as a child and like her trying to like right her wrongs, but also like Isha has their own like arc, right? Like beginning like very timid, like meeting Jinx in the alleyway, like that whole scene was very cool. Like Jinx very much embracing her, like yeah. Then that the parallels with the end, which I mean, it's yeah. You've got some of the screenshots up, but like I just love the dynamic between these two. For sure.
It was a nice surprise. I never expected Jinx to have a small child, like start taking care of a small child.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like how she finds some of her humanity again, is this relationship.
Absolutely.
And then Savika's just sort of going along with it. That's why it's so funny. I never thought Savika could just be like part of the gang too, you know?
Yeah.
Isha's just got her 2 moms, you know? Just chilling.
Aww. Literally. But yeah, I think that's really, as far as like other things wrapping up in Act 1, like towards the end of the act is when we have the fight between, is this when we have the fight between Jinx and Vi? Towards the end of Act 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where Isha
episode 3, yeah.
Yeah,
so
where
good.
Isha like lays on top of Jinx. That scene got me. Like that was very, very good. Very well done. And then Jinx just really doesn't want to be alive anymore and like tells Vi that she wishes, like she's glad it's her. And then you have Caitlyn like ready to take the shot, and she does. She does take the shot, which is I mean, I know I've seen some criticisms online, and I know Jerica, like we've talked a little bit about the fact that like, I mean, she's been through so much, right? Like she's just trying to, at this point, eliminate the problem. Like anybody in her way is just like collateral damage. So very well done.
That whole fight scene was so good. That was one of the, you know, we obviously had Savika and Smeej, you know, a couple episodes ago, but then like just seeing Vi and Jinx fight was the best. And I'm not gonna, you know, most of it was badass and awesome, but there is like a part where they're sort of like, I think it's like after some of the weapons start going posits. I don't know if that, you know what I mean?
Haywire.
They're like just, I think it's right from Caitlyn's sort of vantage, but you're watching them fight, so they're a little bit off in the distance, and they just look like 2 cats fighting, like crawling on each other. It looks so silly. They're like fighting like real sisters. At the beginning, it's pretty much like, I feel like they're fighting to kill each other. And then near the end, it's sort of just, look how silly they look, just jumping on each other.
Yeah, I know what I think that might be intentional, but they're like laying on the, is it diastase, something like that, and I know what you're talking about for sure.
And we're laughing about this, but this whole last few minutes of this episode would just like had me on the edge of my seat because I just did not know who was gonna do what, and I was scared someone was gonna get hurt, like for real. Like Caitlyn's gonna shoot somebody, and I didn't want to be an accident. But you know, she never misses. So,
gosh, and that again is one of those things where you understand why she still took the shot, even though Vi was like, "Hey, there's a child, so maybe you don't," but she still did anyway. And it's like, you get it, but it's like, "Hey, Caitlyn, come on."
she's turned full like vengeful wrath mode.
Yeah,
you know,
and
I know.
Come on, Cupcake, come on.
I know, you know, Jinx is, you know, I'm sort of blending a couple of episodes, but definitely you can tell the heart's not in it anymore as far as like the hatred. Like I feel like, you know, Jinx is starting to not really want to be the face of this situation that she's in.
Yeah.
And now, you know, Caitlyn's just like wanting to kill her for what she's done. And I don't think she doesn't obviously care about that. She doesn't care about like Vi anymore, doesn't care about like ambitions for herself, like making Zon a better place is not on her priorities. You know, it's just hard to pinpoint. It's just, you know, it's interesting to see like how much she, I would say, doesn't really, you know, care, just wants to you know, cause a few problems for a few characters here and there, but overall just like overbearing being the symbol of Zaun, you know, even though that she's the one that caused a lot of this turmoil to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that where we start to see her come back to life is through Isha and like having that like person relying on her, or at least like looking up to her, even if it's not necessarily like the healthiest dynamic. But I mean, I think that definitely like changes her through as we evolve like throughout the acts. But the as far as like my only really critique, and this is kind of giving away how I feel about some of the later stuff, we start to see a little bit with is it Amisa? Is that that's the mom's name? Amesa. And the Amara stuff with the Black Rose. This plot line did start to lose me a little bit. And not because it wasn't well done.
All right, I'm ready to put my League of Legends nerd hat on, or my glasses.
Put it on, because I as much as like I do think like it was beautifully like done, I do feel like it's one of the plot lines that like felt a little bit thrown in there. Like I'm sure. Please explain if it makes more sense in the grand scheme of the lore. But so it started to lose me a little bit there.
Just so
drop some knowledge, because it was a bit confusing.
Yeah.
So Black Rose is actually part of League lore. It's basically like an organization. It's just compiled of like a few really strong mages. And because I'm just not great with my memory, but I did a little research because I was also intrigued by where this series could go. Like, what could be a greater evil than these characters in their own turmoil? Like, there's got to be a bigger threat. Then I saw that what Victor could become. But also there has to be another big baddie somewhere. So the Black Rose, I'm going to read from specifically the League of Legends wiki real quick. The Black Rose is a secretive cabal led by Noxian, basically mages. Many of their designs feature masks so that they can conceal their identities, even from each other. So I know for a fact that there's a character named LeBlanc. It is one of the characters you can play as in League that can only, I think all of the members of the Black Rose can change their appearance and basically be whoever to manipulate. But their end goal essentially is to, they know they are very powerful with their magic and whatever, right? They want to control everything. They want to prevent evil magic worse than themselves from messing up the flow of what they got going on. So their hands are deep into Noxus and controlling Noxus, and they've been doing that for a long time. I don't know in the Arcane timeline how long, but in League, like, they've been around for probably hundreds of years, controlling things. And, you know, just sort of, you know, we sort of see it in the show, like, they can be anybody. They can manipulate anyone. So it's pretty cool to see, like, in this situation, the Black Rose is now a part of this story, and how that can play into, I mean, we're going to talk about in the last act, but with Mel's, what ends up happening with Mel, like, the Black Rose is going to continue to be a force that will just keep fighting back. But they're pretty strong mages. And it's creepy. It is
creepy.
Because if you don't know
visually
about other
yeah.
baddies in League, like, you, and I only got into it because of the show, so good. So I went back and like started reading. But there's just a lot of magical beings. There's like a dragon that can fly around the planet. Like, it's wild. So like, it's not just, you know, grounded in this reality. Like, it's you know, so like sorcerers, mages, demons, all that kinds of stuff, like, live and breathe in this world. So I'm done.
I think that kind of makes sense when you're trying to kind of tie in, like, how does Mel and her mom and all of that like fit into the story. I think just like I think it could have been tied together a little bit more neatly. For people who don't have, I'm sure it was really cool for like the people who have like the background lore of League and be like, oh my gosh, that's what that is. But like for me, I was trying to pay attention to so much going on at once and kind of felt like it was just like another thing that was involved. I mean, it was really cool, like visually, but that's just kind of how I felt. It didn't like put a bad taste in my mouth for like the whole thing, but like it just kind of felt like that to me, if that makes sense. Jordan,
Well-
how did you feel?
Yeah, it was kind of like they were showing these like really cool things that they could do, like trapping people in like mine labyrinths and things like that. That was like then we just like wouldn't see him for like 2 or 3 episodes, and they'd be like, "Here we are, we're doing creepy things with cool visuals," and then it was I was just kind of confusing exactly what like I knew that they obviously were opposing Ambessa and like were powerful mages, but I couldn't quite get a grip of like who they were or why and like how exactly their goals tied into what happens with Mel later on. And it was a little confusing, but again, very, very cool. I wanted to if you're able to throw it up, cool. If not, don't worry about it. But there was an arc of the or a volume, whatever. I forget what they call it for comic books, but like a new run of Scarlet Witch comics that was from 2023, I think. That it reminded me of like the visuals because for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's like kind of it'll have imagery of thorns and roses and stuff like that, obviously, as the name would imply. But like rather than being like green or whatever, it would be like you'd see the outline of what looks like the thorns, but then the
Which is
inside
really
would be
cool.
like
Yeah.
right, but the inside is like cosmic almost, and
Yeah.
that's how like whenever Wanda would like power up as Scarlet Witch as opposed to just like being her like walking around as Wanda when she was like in her Scarlet Witch garb, then like her cape would just be like this almost the exact same kind of vibe where it's like it just looks like just flowing triangle of cosmic stars and like red
Yeah.
and really cool shades of things. So that's what it reminded me of. But again, it was a little bit confusing as to like what exactly was happening with that, especially when they're trying to, as we were saying earlier, they're trying to tell so many stories within a certain amount of time. So they, I feel like this is one of the ones that kind of could have used some more explanations and more time to it to really land, but still cool to watch. At
Yeah,
least.
I wish they would have like maybe did like a flashback to where
Yeah.
there was another character that was being controlled by them in like the last season, like
Yeah.
really tie it back. Unfortunately, like this season 1, by the time they were, I don't know the time frame, but just know like they actually hadn't decided to make this canon for League of Legends yet with season 1. By the
Oh.
time they had
I
like
think I remember hearing
finalized
that,
a lot of it. Season 2,
That makes
obviously they
sense.
had already before they started working on season 2, they're like, okay, everything that we do now, we can go hard with and we can make canon. We can feel good about changing things if it makes sense. So reason for why they probably didn't implement that is sooner. And I wish they would have, because I'm sure there was some other characters last season that could have been the Black Rose or LeBlanc, whoever, in place of said character. So that would have been a cool callback, and that makes sense what y'all shared. Like that sort of you're sort of thrown. It's just thrown in your face as you don't know if it's like something that's just extra. Should I be scared of this? You don't know. Like obviously it's scary,
Yeah.
but like I don't know. Like what is this?
Yeah, where are these people coming from? Yeah. I unrelated, but I tried to kind of put down, I'm a big quotes gal. I love quotes. I feel like a really impactful one that kind of summarizes Act 1 from Amessa was "Wrath must be met with wrath."
Mm.
I think that really that's Act 1 basically.
there were so many good quotes in the show.
Yeah.
I
feel
love
I tried to
those.
write some down.
Obviously, Vi and Caitlyn share their first kiss. Duh, we didn't even bring that up. That
Yeah.
happens really quickly.
That's Act 1?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's like literally like 10 minutes before all hell breaks loose, and
yeah.
It's bittersweet, and I think as part of the writing for them that they the reason why they're sort of coming together right now is like, one, they're about to go fight Jinx. Don't know if
Yeah.
someone's about to die, but also like Caitlyn is changing, so like Vi's just like begging her not to change, even though it's
Yeah.
literally happening,
that
and like
was
she's like literally has started changing and saying that
Yeah.
I won't change. So it was
What
a
she
sad, it
say
was a
something
sad
like
kiss.
everything. Yeah.
It was a sad kiss because
Sorry.
you're seeing it happen, and then not only 10 minutes later, Caitlyn's just trying to kill Jinx, and
Murder.
there's a child trying to prevent it from happening, and Vi's like, calm your tits, woman. Like, let's chill. There's a kid here. And she's like, I don't miss. And she's like, I know you don't, but there's a child here. Maybe we should just not shoot near the child.
Yeah.
And then, Jinx gets away. And I think it's a really pivotal moment when Caitlyn leaves Vi. Obviously, Vi is now finally, not finally, it sounds like I'm like, thank God she's single now. No, that's not what I'm saying. But she's also forced to be on her own and not have to care about anybody else. But on this other side, Caitlyn's the first person that's like been someone she can trust, other than like her, I guess, like Vander. Like, there's been no one in her life. She's been in jail forever, been free, and like just instantly she's able to meet Caitlyn and someone that's nice and like she trusts. So having that sort of broken again is just really sad. The whole performance by, I'm really bad at actresses' names. Haley Steinfeld, that's it.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, she killed it in that scene. Made me real sad. I don't like seeing Vi cry.
She's so good.
Makes me sad.
The
voice actor's 10 out of
10. The way that they handle those kinds of like really heavy emotions, and the animation and the performances has always been like consistently just amazing. Like, this is gonna be a weird thing to try to pinpoint as like a huge positive, but just bear with me. But like, this is one of the few things that you could really see where they're like, when people are really they're like snotting, like they're just like, like it's like, it's gross,
it's messy.
But like, it's messy. Yes, it's like, but that's human. That's like how it would really be. Like, just thinking back to episode 3 of Act 1 of season 1, where Jinx, or she's still Powder, I guess technically, but like she's like alone in the alley, like after Vi just punched her in the face and called her a Jinx and like abandoned her, and she's just like it's just like just snotty, screaming, crying, throwing up. Basically, it's like exactly what she's doing. Like,
and the guttural like pain that you can just like feel. And I think you get a little bit of that kind of reminds me a lot of her like child self in the when she gets like the arm gun for Savika, and like she was like,
yes,
and then she gets like triggered in Act 2, which we're probably going to talk about soon. Like, when in Act 2 she gets like triggered at the rally when Isha is like taken. And that scene is like really like, you can just like, it's like palpating with like the feeling that they want you to feel. It's just
like the world's closing in on her, the moment it happens. And I think I remember, I think it was that scene. I looked at Audrey, we were watching, and I was like, it's so nice to see her sort of like having, a better life experience where she's not like having these inner demons, torment her. And then literally the next scene was like that it had happened. I was like, oh dang,
yeah,
dang, she has some trauma.
Ella Purnell is also incredible. So good. And I've watched some interviews with her. I've tried to avoid like reading public opinion on like how other people feel about it, just because I didn't want it to influence my opinion. But I've watched some like I've watched some like interviews though where she's talking about the character. But yeah, do we want to anything else about Act 1? I know the image you have pulled up where her finger gets cut off, obviously.
Oh no,
it's like
Caitlyn shot it off. It got soldered.
Yeah,
I think that was a pretty cool little detail.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, there's gonna be dozens of scenes like this, where not a lot of words can be said, but like they just kill it with facial expressions and saying so much with nothing at all. It's insane. We get a lot obviously throughout the entire show, but like, you just, it's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah.
Golly, Pete.
And we open Act 2 with a little situation ship between
No.
Yeah. Boo! Tomato!
God, I love it though. I
between-
love the drama. Let's get messy with these ladies, you know?
But these ladies are great at communication because sure, they have a little hookup, but Caitlyn immediately tells back when they're back in the good graces, tells Vi
Oh yeah.
before they're intimate.
Yeah.
And like says like, hey, just so you know, and Vi's like, no, it's fine. You don't even have to say it.
Like, I don't care.
So these ladies know how to communicate. But yeah,
Yeah.
that happens. And they don't say it, but there is like, is there a little bit of a time jump between 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Like,
'cause
I guess a little bit.
there's a little bit of a clue with that when we see Vi again and Vi's, fighting in the pits.
Yeah, oil slick.
Trying to collect some money, win some fights, I guess, and goes back to her like broom closet to sleep and drink. And
Yep.
there's like writing on the wall, like counting the days. So it looks like at least, a few months have passed. So
That would
Oh,
make
nice
sense.
catch.
Mhm.
Nice catch, Jerka.
yeah, I wish I had a
Didn't see
screenshot. I don't
that.
have one. I just have a picture of Caitlyn on screen right now with her cape, which looks really cool.
Vampire cape.
Like she's got the
Yeah.
middle part going now.
Vampire
A
Kate.
little bit more. It's like, her hair has been evolving with her personality also.
Yeah.
So it's
I
let
think they
down,
also-
letting it down a little
She's
bit.
got her hair.
Sort of. I guess Act 2 is not really letting it down, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, something I don't want to forget to mention that I'd read that I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but it makes a lot of sense. So you all were talking about just how peaceful Jinx seemed to be, especially with Isha, not really tormented as much. And people were pointing out that we do hear Isha say a couple of really brief things, but mostly is communicating in some type of sign language. I think some people have made connections to ASL, but it could be a combination of that and fictional, or could be just all ASL. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm sorry. But just that was one of the reasons why she could feel so at peace, was because, when people are trying to talk to Jinx verbally, like out loud, then she can misconstrue it and she can be like tormented by, her past demons of the people that she's, killed back, either intentionally or not. But since Isha is, at least partially, maybe like selectively mute to some extent, then she can't really misinterpret sign language as being, someone tormenting her. And so like, yeah, I was like, that's a really, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
That's a really cool detail.
considered that. Yeah.
It does.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, again, like Jericho was saying earlier, like it's unsaid, but it's like it's laid out in a very like constructive way of like visuals, environmental storytelling, like all different kinds of like layers of storytelling on top of each other. Like, and then we get introduced to Were Vander, if you will. And this just absolutely like tears at my heartstrings, because like it is a manifestation of like the trauma that Vi and Jinx have experienced together.
And they
like
have to do it again.
again. Yeah. Again. And
this was one that it was like another kind of out of nowhere a little bit to me. Like, I know that there was technically build up, because it'd be like at the end of episodes for Act 1, it'd be like, ooh, look, was it Singed? He was doing weird stuff
I think
with
so.
animals in a cave, but then all of a sudden it's like, here's a werewolf Vander guy. I'm like, okay.
So Warwick is another champion from League. Very
okay.
cool. His obviously now his lore is a little different now. If he was a human, we did not know who he was before he became this monster. So
Okay.
very cool detail.
So he's his own champion.
Yeah, and if you're ever interested, if you go to like League the website for League of Legends, I don't know if it's just LeagueOfLegends.com. Sounds too easy. Epic's website or whatever. Not Epic, Riot. They have like a biography, and you can pick like different regions. So if you go to Zaun specifically, like Warwick is one of the champions from Zaun.
That's cool.
At the end of season 1, there's a teaser where they announce like, guess what, we're doing a season 2. It's like, when a show does really well and then they like wait a couple days, like, by the way, season 2, we're working on it. They actually had a trailer that came out like a few days after season 1 ended, that had dialogue from this season already, talking about Caitlyn going after Jinx and Vi being like, please, I don't want you to do this. Let me do it. I don't want anybody to get hurt. And at the end, you hear a howl. So we knew at the end of season 1 that like Warwick's going to be involved somehow.
Oh.
So it was I like the route they took for this character, this champion to be introduced into the world. But this is another one of those details. Like if you aren't familiar with like certain champions, it might not make sense. That's actually like to y'all's point. Like those are things I haven't considered. And I'm not even deep in the lore for real. But that might be a random, like, why is Vander now a werewolf? But I don't know. Was that too jarring? Was that too out of left field for y'all?
For me, no. Like, I think because I felt like this felt a little bit different to me than like for example, like the Black Rose storyline. This felt more integrated into the overall plot because it was such a driving force for like Vi and Jinx relationship, and like the little nuggets of like them working on the like the shimmer and like the way that they were kind of setting it up. It wasn't too much of like a jarring moment for me. And like they really continue on with it. Because with the Black Rose stuff, it's kind of like Jordan was saying, like kind of sprinkled in throughout. This was like a pretty like big driving force and like a plot main topic moment. So I thought it was really well done. But I could also see like, I didn't even think about it being a separate character or like, why is this werewolf here? But
why is this werewolf man here? But maybe they did such a good job where you don't sort of question that. You're like, oh, he just got turned into a monster. So
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what threw me off is that for the longest time now, I'm sure I know a lot of people do the same thing where I just watch pretty much anything with subtitles, doesn't matter what it is. And so the subtitles said like Warwick growls, or I was like, who's Warwick?
Ooh.
Like, because I don't think they ever.
That's funny.
I don't think they ever address him in the show as Warwick.
Yeah,
to my knowledge,
I don't think so. I don't think anyone calls him
like,
that. Yeah.
So then I was like, that made me think like, oh, is this supposed to be somebody that I forgot about from season 1 from like, yesterday when I was watching season 1 or whatever it was? So that kind of like threw me off a little bit to have him like that. But
yeah, I'm surprised they used.
That's a good point.
I'm surprised they didn't just call him Vander, but that sort of makes sense because no one calls him Warwick in the show. But
but as Caleb said, like I do agree with Caleb that there was enough of a through line to where it made more sense because like you saw him working on something in his weird little creepy cave, and then you saw Mbessa come down there and like basically recruit him, being like, I want you to make the most vile, despicable killing creature you can imagine. And he was like, I got you, girl. Don't worry.
I'm just trying to keep my daughter alive. Yes.
Can I say, and I know I messaged you guys separately about this, but the intro scene where they introduced Vander as the werewolf and is like one of my favorite scenes. And I know you've got some still shots of this. And the music, we haven't talked about the music yet in this show.
The show might end up being 4 hours long because there's just
so yeah. We can't talk about every single thing. But
I want to. I
have to. The music specifically in this scene, like I literally ascended. I sent them like the SpongeBob meme where it's like the headphones in. But soundtrack's absolutely amazing, and I believe they do like most of their music in house. I think.
Yeah, and they obviously have an idea of what kind of song they want for specific scenes, so they'll work with particular artists. But like every song is like, handled with such care that the artists that they partner with, they sort of give insight to like, hey, this is the type of scene, this is maybe the type of song we want. So like every song is curated to the scene that you're seeing. But yeah, the music building up to Warwick coming out of that like train zip, what do you call it? A trolley? What do you call that?
What is that called?
So. Trolley.
It's not a trolley.
Cable car?
Cable car.
Like a cable car?
Yes, that's it. Oh, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I'm so ready for this guy. And then he still doesn't show his face yet. But yeah, Kayla, like I agree. Like it's just the red lighting. Jinx like just being like, well, shit, I guess I'm about to fight this thing. Like just not caring. Like not scared.
Guess I'll die
Jinx
now.
is not scared of anything. Fearless.
But then he says powder, and then that's the end of
cried
episode
again
4.
when I heard
and
it.
I just
cried it. I cried. I was like, oh man.
I cried. And I kept thinking like that would have honestly been a perfect ending to one of the arcs or one of the
Yeah.
acts. And it wasn't. So I feel like that could have been like, I'm sure you would be glad because you watched it per act as it came out, but like it felt like the end of it was definitely a cliffhanger for the episode for sure. But then we kind of bounced back to one of the things I was like, they bring back the Black Rose stuff with Mel and her like she thinks she's being reunited with her brother, and
Psych.
he ends up being psych. And then you also have the introduction of her like sister from like the I guess it was like an illegitimate kind of like sister she didn't know about.
They talk about this. So Audrey brought this up to me today because we watched a little bit of it. Like, I think they just. You want to just hear my prediction?
Yes.
I think Mbessa wanted to have a backup plan because Mbessa was working with the Black Rose for obvious reasons to gain control, but also like just to be, what do they say about your enemies? You want to be best friends with them. There's a saying, help me out here.
Keep your enemies close.
Something
keep your
like
friends
that.
closer, your enemies
That's basically it.
closer.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's going to come into play in Act 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Mbessa,
In French. In French.
Mbessa,
And Bessa, yeah.
maybe, had an affair with a member of the Black Rose. And when, according to some of the lore I've read, these mages, the only way to share the powers is through your children. So, like,
Yeah.
Mbessa obviously had a relationship to create Mel. And I don't, obviously she loves Mel, but like, Mel's a weapon. Mel, I feel like was, conceived to be a weapon. Obviously, she loves her. I just said that, 'cause it sounds sort of wrong, but we get to learn about Mbessa in this show. But knowing that and this, maybe whoever had the affair or, was that, like, hey, I'll have a child with you. Yeah. Maybe the Black Rose didn't know that they were doing that. Obviously the Black
Maybe
Rose didn't
not.
know about Mel. They knew one of the children
Yeah.
maybe had powers. So that's why they're going after Mel.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's really no answer for it. There's really not. I guess we'll just have to see
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that plays out in the next show that they do. I don't know.
The Noxus chapter.
Yeah.
I could see that happening for sure. I could see it. It does seem like they're leading you in a direction with that family and like their background to where I could totally see them doing like a spinoff show, and I would definitely be here for it. That would make sense as to why they're kind of weaving it in and out those stories that are kind of like unfinished.
I think they're just, and it sucks. I wish they had a way to give us the message that, and I think they sort of do at the end, but yeah, it's like you just don't get enough of that at all. And it's, that's, I guess part of the critique is that, you don't get all the info.
And then you get the reunited, emo girl Vi and Kate. That scene's really good. Mongoose.
Oh, before we get to them too, real
I
quick,
died. That
Actually,
was so funny.
I do
That
want
was
to
funny.
call out before I forget, just like seeing Jinx and Vi, obviously they're at each other's throats at the end of the last episode, right? And just seeing how casually they come back together when each
Yeah.
other needs help. Obviously, Jinx went and found Vi after encountering Vander and
Yeah.
snuck into her little broom closet that she's living in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And immediately Vi wakes up and like grabs Jinx by the neck and is just like, I think, she's been through a rough few months. Big breakup, okay, for her. We get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Drinking, fighting, little aggressive,
Mhm.
maybe not thinking clearly. But Jinx is
Drinking,
like, hey,
fighting, throwing up.
hey, it's Vander. Like, I need your help with this. We got to save him. And like immediately Vi just doesn't believe her. Like, I'm not believing
Believe
you
her,
again.
yeah.
Please get out of here. And I think it's cool that throughout the episode, you see them sort of just, you would think they would be at each other's throats 100% of the time. But they're just literally still being sisters and acting like sisters would, even though they've been
Yeah.
through so much trauma. Like her slapping vibe it's in my top 5 moments. Like them going back and forth and calling each other names. And there was like a line where Jinx is like, or when are you gonna, like something about their parents having, God, I wish I would have wrote it down God, I'm gonna have to. I have a horrible memory. I wish I'd write stuff down. Something about the parents and having, crazy kids. And she's like, it's not just me, it's you too. Like, what are you talking about?
Is that when we get the flashback scene with their parents?
No, I meant to write it down. Hold on. I'm not going to be able to find it. It's just something snarky that Jinx says to Vi about them both being the crazy sisters. It's not just me. It's also you.
Oh, yeah. She's like, something about the psycho sister. And she says, like, which one?
That was it, Kayla. Thank you so much. That was it. And then they immediately just like start fighting. And they like just slapping her. And I just love being able to see them. Obviously, in this moment, you sort of separate some stuff, like seeing them be sisters, because you really don't see that after the first season at all, like the first act of season 1.
Episode 3.
Yeah, you don't see it anymore. So it was just nice to see how casually they come back together, thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just wanted to highlight that before our other reunite. What do we say? We talked about Kate and Vi reuniting, right? Yes.
Oh yeah. We were going to talk about that, which I'm glad you brought that up, because again, there's just so much that happens. It's easy to forget.
There's so much
as we're going through, because
there was a family moment, a family hug with the werewolf.
Oh my gosh.
Isha's in there too.
Reunion scene.
Just filling in the gaps, and no one's questioning why is this child here?
Who is this child?
Vi didn't question it at all. It was just like, just another day.
I just love that scene's really good. And then we kind of skipped over the stuff that's kind of happening with the Victor Heimendinger.
That might have to be a whole other episode, because that's just a lot of science and time.
And Jason Echo. And I will say, like, that those sections aren't the strongest to me. Like, I feel like it makes sense for where they wanted the story to go, but that's some of the stuff where I was like, I care more about what's going on with this situation and with Vi and Jinx and Isha and Vander, like all that stuff. But that does happen. And then I wanted to read really quick the quote towards the end of the act, the act with Victor. Like, absolutely, like 10 out of 10, where he's saying, the doctor was right. It's inescapable. Humanity, our very essence, our emotions, rage, compassion, hate, two sides of the same coin, inextricably bound. And I was like, oh,
it's good.
So good. That whole ending scene is really good. And you've got, that's a good picture.
I just love a good storyline that's all about, humanity just keeps fucking up no matter what.
Yep. It's what we do.
Giving Attack on Titan.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, God.
And then you get Isha at the end.
Love devastation.
At the end. They don't show her dead.
You're right. But,
do they?
She put 3 of those crystals in that gun to shoot off, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She probably did.
It sucked.
Yeah,
it was sad because Jinx got really, right before this happened, just sort of talking through how meeting her, like, she can see clearly for the first time, or like, I can't tell if it's so really blurry or really clear, but you being in my life has changed me. And I was like, oh, God. And then for that to happen next,
she said, like, it's like I put on glasses, but I can't tell if I'm seeing blurry or seeing clear. Like,
wow.
And I was like, oh, man. So, like, for the first time ever, like, Jinx has a friend, like, has a responsibility to someone else, isn't messing it up for somebody else. And I think that having to go through this situation for Jinx is a tough deal. It sucks. The show's never happy.
She's,
like I said, this is why we can have nice things.
We got a few nice moments beforehand. They gave us a lot of love there, family reunions. Even Vi was smiling. Things were looking great.
Yeah.
I have one other thing before we move to the next app, but I'm gonna let y'all keep going with this part. Sorry. Just don't go. I won't forget. So don't go to the next part yet.
Oh, that's really all.
Sorry,
that
I'm
I had
getting
to
a
say
little
about that
sleepy
one.
and a little loopy, so apologize.
That's all I really had for that, except, like, I can't remember where it's placed exactly. I think it is in this act where they do the, like, flashback to kind of like the bar scene with their parents, and that's a sweet moment and, like, a little bit of, like, an insight to, the origin of them.
Like why
But
Vander was like so protective of them, like even beyond just being from the same area, and like, but he knew their parents, and like they had talked about how like Zon needed to be like, you know, an actual good place to have a family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Man, their
And then
dad
the
must have not
animation
been that
thing, like-
important. The real dad, he never got showed in the show.
Yeah.
I was, and then Vander's just the dad, which makes sense because Vander's been in their life, you know, most
Yeah.
of their lives. But they don't rarely talk about their dad. They talk about how their mom smelled. You know, he said like
Mhm.
axle
Yeah.
grease, whatever they were
I
reminiscing.
thought that was a sweet. That
It
was sweet.
Yeah, they were
It really
revisiting
was.
where their house used to be. In that
Yeah.
scene. So, but yeah, I loved being able to see their mom and the mom talking
Mhm.
because it remind like you can see mannerisms from Jinx with their
Mhm.
mom and like
Yeah.
Vander basically naming Vi. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was cute. I think that it was a good, and it wasn't too long. Like it wasn't like it didn't take up a ton of time. I feel like it was perfectly placed. So, what was your last thing, Jerka, for Act 2?
I'm gonna put this up
Did you
here
forget?
and just take a look at the specimen. So I did
Oh, no.
enjoy when Caitlin and Vi had their
Ah.
plan, you know, to get Ol and Bessa, you know, and they staged
Yeah.
little covert
Cool.
action. I just want to know if did Caitlin maybe come up with the idea like, all right, to really sell this, I need you to spit on me. Okay. I like to imagine they did. And of course, as you know, she rubbed it on her lips, which I thought was a pretty dope move.
I don't.
You know.
I think I missed that.
Well, I didn't.
That's
I
great.
definitely caught
Oh,
that. I was
no.
like, oh,
Jericho was like, I have my notepad.
Oh.
the only note I actually have is just Caitlin. She nasty.
Yeah, she
In a
nasty.
good way.
And her face, the way it has changed.
Yeah.
Like her actual face, like her expressions. Like look at her eyebrows.
so
like-
menacing.
Very menacing.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought
We
it was
cannot-
I love
forget.
the all the memes about like here's Vi said cupcake one time and then switching sides.
and like it's so cool because like literally her eyes get bigger when she says that. And like
Yeah.
those are kind of like expressions. Like if you pause at certain moments when certain characters are saying things, like you can see like how they are reacting to each other is so small, but the details are there. It's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Anywho, she wrote
Well, do we
she
wanna-
rubbed the spit on her lips. That was cool.
I definitely missed that.
Could have rubbed it the other
Me
way,
too.
you know. Most people rub it away from your face and then just put it on the lips. I think they planned it. That's funny. All right.
That is funny.
All right, the last 3
Act
episodes.
3.
What
And
are
then
the
there's Act
highlights?
3.
What are the man? There's so many.
This is where
It's a tough
yeah,
question.
This is
Tears.
where it like was a little bit tricky because obviously episode, I guess 7, so part 1 of Act 3 was like at the end of it was like beautiful, fantastic, like in pretty much every way, but like to be left with that like devastating scene of Isha like firing the gun off and then just like kind of fading to black or whatever, and then
It was a weird fade,
If-
by the way.
throws us
Strange.
I don't even remember exactly how
You
it
should go
did
back
it.
and watch it. I saw it again today. I was like, that's a
Okay.
weird fade to black. I don't know. It's just it just seems strange. I can't really
Yeah.
I can't describe it.
I'll have to go back and rewatch
Yeah,
that.
see what you think.
And then like, you know, again, I finished that on a Monday. I'm like, man, how are they gonna wrap this up? And then we go to Saturday, right? Saturday's when they drop. I don't know. Whichever day they drop, like a few
Yeah.
days later, and I'm like, what are we
Yeah.
here with Echo and Heimerdinger and this like alternate universe storyline going on? Like, again, like it by the end of it, you see why, and it like comes together beautifully in like so many ways. But like for the first third to half of the episode, I'm just kind of like, what happened to everybody in the commune? Why are
What's
we here?
going
Like, Please go back.
Yeah, I felt the same, and like while I think like it wasn't done like badly, like nothing in this show is like bad, like overtly, but I do think it is a little bit disruptive to like the flow
Yes.
of where they're going, and like it did kind of throw me off, and I just was not super interested in like the time warp. Like I thought it was interesting from like a storytelling standpoint, and like the flashback, or the not the flashback, like the
flash sideways.
Yeah,
Lost.
It's like Lost.
That is like interesting, and like it was very sad to like be in Echo's kind of like POV of like, you know, what could have been, obviously, especially when like the way that things are turning out in their like real actual timeline. Obviously very sad, but I agree with you, Jordan, for sure. Jerica, how'd you feel about all that?
I had to, of all the scenes when I rewatched a few episodes today, I picked the points because I couldn't like watch the entirety of each episode because I just time constraints. I definitely went and revisited all of those specific scenes where we're seeing perspectives from Jace and Echo and just trying to put together what was said with Victor before some of this stuff started happening, like trying to put together the puzzle with all these pieces and I was at some point I'm just like, I like it, but it is a little confusing, especially for this derp right here. I'm like, are we just swapping bodies when this happens? Because, you know, like Victor can is the Victor we're seeing with Jace on top of the whatever
Jesus?
Is the Jesus Victor the one that's holding out the hand and like gave him the crystal? Is that, you know, the one on top? Is that?
Yeah.
That one, is that, which Victor is that? Is he able, does he transcend different realities? Because the one in the world we're experiencing, the timeline we're experiencing, seems like he's doing the wrong thing. So I'm like, how is this Victor stopping the other Victors? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it did that. Some of that did lose me a little bit, but I loved that that episode. Episode 7 was really fun, but the stuff that's making that happen, a little confused.
I'll say this: what you just said didn't make any less sense than what the show gave us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So even if I'm not all the way there, I'm not any more lost.
Because, you know, like, jumping ahead, I mean, I won't get into too much with this part, but like when Echo finally creates I think it's called the Z Drive, and he's about to go back to the right place, it's like he and this Echo just swap. But are they swapping, or are they just swapping consciousness? Like, I don't know.
Have you seen X-Men Days of Future Past?
Yes. I'm going to say no, because it's been so long that it's basically a no.
I think it's that, to where they send Wolverine's consciousness back in time, because since he's like not quite immortal, but basically he's, you know, he can live for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Then like he can still be basically the same person, but just like have memories from the future timeline or whatever. So that's kind of the vibe that I got, was that like
the brains kind of just swapped.
Heimerdinger got sent back like further, and he had to like wait for a while before.
That was funny.
He got lucky. That was him that got sent back far away. He's the only one that could have lived to do that.
Right. So like, he was waiting all that time for his Echo's consciousness to arrive back in this Echo's body. And then once his mission was done, then he just like wakes back up and he's like, what happened? Oh, you my girlfriend? I don't know.
Yeah, it lost me a little bit, but I saw the vision. Like we got there, and we got there. I love that, like, you know, Echo got to experience that life with Powder, and like Violet's dead in that universe, and like there's just a lot of like what ifs kind of going on. But it did almost kind of feel like they included this mainly just to have it be able to be a metaverse, like where there's like multiple universes and planets, which is like smart from like a franchise standpoint, where they like are able to like integrate kind of like we were talking about Into the Spider-Verse before, but can be a little bit like, you know,
repetitive.
Random.
Sometimes I would say repetitive. I've seen it a lot before, and I was like, oh, is this going to start doing some of that too? That's not what you're about to say, but that's what I thought of. I'm like, oh, if they're gonna do this, I wonder how far they're gonna lean into it.
Mhm.
But no, like, I wonder, do they come back to
Yeah.
this concept at all? It's not about you to
Like
like.
then we go ahead,
I
Jericho.
was gonna say, this Jinx, short-haired Jinx, in love with Echo Jinx in this universe, looks very longingly at the device. You know, she worked with Echo to create this device. Who's to say she can't make another one? You know?
Yeah.
She's smart.
It could happen.
It could. There's a couple things too. So the song that plays when they're dancing is. Did you look at the name of it or the meaning of it or anything?
Mm-mm.
No.
Because the title I think is "Ma meilleure ennemie," which is like my best enemy, and the
Ooh.
lyrics are all about like, you know, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, kind of a thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're my like. So that's basically Echo, like his reality with Jinx of being like, we were so close, but now we're enemies. But I want to be closer to you, and blah, like that, like all that kind of stuff. It's like very like symbolic of that, but also I like somebody smarter than me went through and noticed that, like, again, as with Spider-Verse, they'll play with frames per second with the animation. And in this dance scene, it looks kind of choppy, and some people just assumed like, oh, he's saying he wants to remember this moment forever, but whenever you're looking back at your memories, you're just remembering snapshots, and so it's just like snapshots of his dance with her that he's trying to remember and, you know, forever. But somebody else realized that it's the frames are like every 4 seconds,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and he can only go back 4 seconds with his Z drive. And I was like, no,
Wow.
like, oh,
That
is,
hurts.
yeah.
But then I feel like when we come back to the present day, everything moves very quickly. We come back, and then obviously we have like a turn, a shift between like Mbessa and Maddie turning kind of on Caitlyn, and then Maddie gets yeeted by the bullet, and then we get
Man, y'all are just skipping so far ahead.
Wait, what did we miss? What did we miss?
You missed the whole scene, Kayla. Are we doing this on purpose?
Oh, I did. No,
Dang.
no. Oh, I'm sorry. I have it in my
But I
notes.
was like, maybe
for some reason I have it below.
No. It was okay. I was like, well, maybe we just want to skip it.
No.
I mean, what were your thoughts, Jordan?
Give Jericho the one. Yeah.
I was going to add a couple slides here for this presentation. Just want to respect the time that we got to see Vi's arms. Very muscular. And then
muscle mommy.
And then finally,
it's giving
we get to, you know, obviously we got a reveal of the back tattoo. And what a great way to reveal it, you know. We've all been wondering, what does it look like? Where does the tattoo end? Where does it begin? So we finally got our answer. I will say a lot of people I saw, you know, I was on the socials seeing everyone's reaction, a lot of positive reactions. Some people, I mean, you're going to always have a mixed batch here, but
of course,
a lot of people, you know, big fan of it happening, but not a fan of it happening right after that interaction they had, or I guess Vinx, I just combined them. Vi and Jinx had, and then, you know, Caitlyn talked to Jinx a little bit before. And I guess like just having the sexy scene in the jail cell, like after Powder pretty much like left Vi, but you didn't really know her intentions. And and some people are like, oh, that was a little rough. That doesn't make sense for the character just to sort of forget about Jinx like that. I think it sort of does, you know. They even just talking about like how they sisterly came back together, even though they hate each other's guts. It's like they expect that from each other. It's just normal for them at this point. So Jinx sort of like finally giving her like, it's okay, let me do my thing. I just want you to be happy. And Vi actually just sort of allowing that to happen. Because I don't think Vi's ever been able to let that happen. And I think we just saw a build up. Like, yeah, this scene was charged and, sexy. And, but I think it's just because they are literally possibly going to die soon and all the emotions. And I just love the fact that, Caitlin called it and sort of knew that she would be there to like let Jinx out.
Yeah.
What did she say?
Like showing up.
And me and my girlfriend were having a discussion. Like she says, it was a little bit of a the way she says it's like in the form of a question, so it's a little confusing. But she's like, "You don't think I needed all the guards at the Hex Gate?" Like signifying that she sent all the guards to the Hex Gate, so no one would be down here.
Basically knowing that Vi would want to do that, and then
and just like Vi hearing that and saying that she chose to help her and her sister, like just was like, "Oh, mommy, let's go to town." So
wow.
And it commences. Unfortunately, they blur out some things, and then, but I'm not complaining. It's more than we've ever had in an animated show, and even in live action stuff. Like it's important to realize, like, especially for like female relationships, it's like never. It's very rare that it's a happy ending. Like,
yeah,
I think about the 100. I don't know if you watched the 100. It really went downhill the last few seasons, but
it did.
There was like
a great
relationship between two female characters, and like they're just getting going, and they are actually really good together. Like I loved seeing the character, and then one of them dies. The same thing happened in The Walking Dead. Like one of them dies. Like and it's just like they never just be together. It's always bad. Yeah, it's just devastating. Like you don't get to see it work out, and it's just sort of sucks. It's not even there enough, and then. It's finally here, and it's still one of them dies. But here you finally, get to see the tattoo. But also, they make it out alive, thank God. Spoiler alert.
They make it out alive.
Yeah.
They make it out alive. I don't know.
It was a great moment. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
Pretty historic moment for a lot of reasons. I'm just going to move my eyebrows. Maybe the extended cut, because apparently that exists, comes out on Blu-ray.
Oh my gosh.
I'll give extra money. I just want to see in an interview.
Release the center cut.
One of the writers is like, there was a lot more to this scene. They had to cut a lot. And the animation studios, Fortiche, they're in France. And he said they said they were just being really extra French with this scene. So, and they had to cut some stuff, or they were going to have to change the rating of the game.
Yeah. Did you think this was going to happen or no?
I did not. I didn't like. If you would have told me like leading up to it, they were teasing a few things. Things were getting said by some writers, and the artist of the song that plays during the scene was like teasing a lot of stuff. So I started thinking like, oh shit, they might get freaky in one of these episodes. I don't know. Like, and I hope to see it. Hope that wasn't just one kiss. So. Yeah, I definitely didn't. I didn't expect it for sure.
Yeah, Jericho wasn't trying to skip it. I promise. It was
no, it's okay. I was like, I'm like, I promise I can be more. I'm not a perv about the situation. I just want y'all to think I'm just having this, like I just have it on my phone 20 times in my background. Yeah, and I'm just kidding. I don't.
It's only 19 times.
Yeah, actually,
she was exaggerating.
But yeah, I think it's a good point to really specifically call out, like, I mean, there's so many times where you get to see this kind of scene with straight couples and like not as often with like same-sex couples. So I think it's really
I've never seen this with two animated women in my life, and we might never witness it again. It was done so good. She's like touching the back of Vi's back, and it like her fingers pull the skin. These people are so freaking talented. Like it's insane. These animators,
it really is how talented they
wild.
Are.
I see why it took so long to make.
How do we feel about the wrap up of everything? Like, I want to know what you guys think about the ending. I know we'll probably have to like kind of like squish it as far as like the time that we have left, but like we're close to the end anyway. Like, I would love to know what you guys think about the way that it wrapped up and like the semi-open-endedness of it all.
Yeah, the last like little stretch of the final episode was absolutely incredible. Like Maddie literally biting the bullet.
Oof.
But the fight with Mel and Ambessa and Caitlin getting thrown into that was like really well done. So good.
I didn't expect that team up. I love it. I mean, it
Right.
makes
No.
sense, but I didn't expect it. I love seeing them team up.
Agreed, and it was so well done. Like the way that like Mel's using her powers and Caitlyn's just being awesome. And then
Yeah.
this shot here with Jinx's entrance, that was
Ugh.
so incredibly hype for me. Like not only because like it just looked cool and like the vibe was immaculate, but then like seeing Echo flying down with the firelights, I was like, yes, like this is so
They're
cool.
here. They
like,
showed up, you know?
yes,
I really wish we could have seen. Do y'all think, when Jinx is going to save Jinx, or I'm sorry, did I say Jinx? Saving Jinx, getting late. When Echo goes and finds Jinx and seeing her, like, about to jump off or like explode them
Right.
both multiple times. Luckily, he can go back in time, like trying to convince her to not kill herself, which I know can be a triggering topic. And I do wish, though, I wanted to see what he said to her to convince her to
yeah.
have another
good.
shot. Sorry, I didn't mean this to go in like a deep, a sad
No,
turn.
do not
but
apologize for that.
I wish,
No, yeah.
do you think he told her about where he was and about what could be, like, at all? Like, do you think he shared any of that with her? Or we have no idea. Like, I want to know so bad, like, what he
man.
said to her to,
Yeah.
like, convince her not
That
to
is a
do
good
this.
question.
I didn't know if y'all, I guess I could have asked that a long time ago.
No, I don't know.
I'd like to think he maybe shared a little bit of what he experienced. And like there's
Probably
this,
so.
and it's like, hey, there's a world, there's a timeline, there's even a possibility now. This is what it could be for you. I don't know. I mean, not maybe saying they like, hey, we were in a relationship in like another world, you know that? But maybe like, hey, you create these
You have things to
amazing,
look for.
you're such a great inventor.
Yeah.
Don't lose that. Like, I don't know. I'd be curious. That's part of the show. Like, I wish that deserved, out of anything, I think that deserved the limelight, and it just didn't get it.
Yeah.
That reminds me, like, this is gonna sound a little bit off topic, but I swear it's related. Did y'all ever watch that Falcon? Words, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show,
I did, yeah.
or like the entire season is like, or not the entire, but there's like multiple points in the season where they're teeing up the fact that Bucky's grown close to this like neighbor of his in the same building, and like he feels all this immense guilt because whenever he was brainwashed as the Winter Soldier, he was the one who killed this guy's son.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like they finally show where he has the courage to go talk to him about it, and they just close the door and cut to the next scene. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you robbing us of
Yeah.
this? Like, so I know what you mean. Like that would have
Yeah,
been a
same.
really, like, I don't know if maybe
Intimate.
they shied away
Maybe they didn't.
because like it can be so, like you said, so triggering that like to make it seem like there could ever be one little sentence you could say to somebody in that state of mind that just completely turns it around. I don't know if that was their intent or just they
Maybe.
wanted you to be able to think up your own version of what it could have been. Like, did he tell her about
Leaving space for, yeah.
like, for the lyrics?
Holding space. Holding space for it. Sorry.
Anyways,
No, you're fine. Like,
but
because part of me does want, like, did he say what actually happened in another reality, or did he just like kind of take those feelings, those emotions of like, I wish
Hope.
we could have been closer when we grew up, and like,
maybe
I
that
missed
took that
blah, blah, blah. Like,
experience that he just had. Yeah.
yeah,
And sort of like,
so, I don't know.
but I
That's a
love
good
the
question.
fact
I don't think I really thought about that before
like,
you brought it up. Jared.
convinced her to not do it, and like they come back rolling in style. Like whatever he was
so
able,
good.
whatever they were able
So
to talk about,
good.
she got her mojo back. At least, one last time here.
Stella's got her groove back, you
and I
know?
She's back. She's got
Sorry.
shorter hair like her sister. I thought that was cool. She cut her
That
hair,
was cute.
which is probably a smart
Yeah.
move, so no one's like pulling her pigtails anymore.
Right. And people pointed
Yeah.
out all the ways that she's like incorporated Echo's, Vi's, and
Yeah.
Isha's like styles into her outfit,
Yeah.
into the vehicle.
It's
What do you want to
cute.
call that? The hovercraft? I don't know.
Yeah. But then
You said but.
we have I think she's still alive, personally.
I agree.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Jericho, do you want to take that? Because you sent me something that was pretty convincing.
Oh yeah, I think I actually. Oh, I wanted to also highlight. I really wanted to see what Caitlyn's eye looked like before it got cut out,
Oh,
Yeah.
or while it was cut out. I want to see what it looks like cut. Am I a sicko? I am a sicko. I wanted to see it, but I love the shot of everyone getting sucked, which sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Possessed. Everyone being possessed.
Everybody's
This just
getting
got really
I'm sorry.
M-rated.
Everybody's getting sucked up. That was some of the best scenes. Like everyone, like, I'm not gonna do that on screen again.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that again.
Yep.
What was I gonna say? Yes, I think Jinx survived. One little thing I just forgot about, and then I just forgot it again because my head hurts. Anyways, I'm gonna forget I said that. That was me rewinding.
Oh, okay.
I do think
4 seconds.
there we go. I do think Jinx is still alive. Actually, have a screenshot.
Yes.
Had more screenshots. Near the
Jericho's
end.
the screenshot queen tonight.
Listen, it took a while to get all these sort of curated.
There it is.
You know, Jinx sacrificed herself to save Vi. We could also get into all the Victor J stuff, and I would love to, but we just don't have enough time.
We
Um,
don't.
I wouldn't
can do a
understand half of it
prediction.
anyway.
Yeah. If there's ever another season of Arcane, I know we'll need 2 episodes dedicated to it. I'll know that for next time.
Yeah.
But as you can see in the screenshot, there's like a little pink little zip where Jinx uses her little shimmer powers ability where she can sort of get excited and just run away. Zips through the vent. That's what happens here. She's gone. You know, obviously.
Yeah.
And in the last scene, I don't have a screenshot of this,
okay.
but you know, Caitlyn's like looking at the computer with her cool eye patch, you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Very
yeah,
cool.
the eye patch is really cool, and I
Yeah.
love that they show us that scene of her and Vi together, so you know that they're still together.
Yeah,
Yes,
Vi
that
has
was good.
definitely has leveled up in terms of, I guess, comfortable living. Like, has a bed now. Still not wearing any
Wow.
socks or shoes. Saw notice that. And sitting on a table, there's 2 comfy chairs. I noticed that.
Somebody pointed out that the only time you ever see Vi without her arm wraps are those scenes, the love scene and then this final scene with Caitlyn, where she's like
Mhm.
finally like truly let her guard down like
Comfortable.
completely.
Yeah.
Man,
That's
which is pretty sweet. Yeah,
What a good show.
I know.
so good. But last thing,
I'm so glad we got
Let's
to
see.
talk about it.
the last scene is the ship. I forget what they're called. The flying ships are
Yeah.
flying away. This wasn't me either. You know, this was also another fun or smart person on the internet made the connection. Powder's very first line in Arcane. So the first episode was like, one day I'm going to fly in one of those things. And I don't think it's a coincidence that's the last thing we see.
Well, technically, the last thing we see is the
the
little
end.
neon graffiti. Like, yeah,
So,
Technically.
but also you see it in like
Well,
Caitlyn's face,
actually.
like she's contemplating, like she's looking at the vents and she does like this subtle smile, like she's like, that little shit got still, there's a way that she got out. That's
Yeah.
that's the family that she's involved with
Wow.
now. But at the very end, where they're like, you know, just sitting there being cute and stuff, like you can see a look on her face where she's like, I don't know if she wants to tell Vi or not. I don't know. Where like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
by the way, there's
Yeah.
a chance that she could be alive. She could have escaped. Probably wouldn't
Yeah.
bring that up myself either. So,
No,
all right, now I'm done.
The odds that they've been at were not the best throughout the arc. So
They probably need some
But
breaks.
no,
Like, you know, they need a
Yeah.
break from each other.
family, you know? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
give it at least a week. Just chill for a minute. You know.
At least.
I think that this is a beautiful show that I am glad that it exists. And like Jericho said many times, I can't believe it's based off of a League of Legends game, even
If you ever
though
saw
I haven't
gameplay
played
of
it.
League of Legends, you should look at it. It's fun. Like, I played a lot in college. Technically, you know, I was a Caitlyn main. Played a lot with her because I like
Oh.
ranged abilities. And played Teemo, which I was really bummed Teemo didn't make an appearance. He's a cute little Yordle, little scout guy, little scout boy. Isha is actually wearing a helmet that looks just like Teemo's helmet. So I think it's a little nod to Teemo.
I
Ooh.
just pulled it up.
I was really hoping
Yeah.
that Teemo would show up, but he didn't. Very cool, though. It's cool to see some of these characters come to life, and there's a few. There was at least Warwick was new. I forget Singe's daughter is actually in League too.
That
Oriana,
whole storyline also
like
was
that is
sad, but
that's
really
a champion in the game. His daughter is.
sweet. Yeah.
There was a Raven at the end with like 3 eyes.
Like 3 eyes, yeah.
That's a guy
Is
from
the-
Noxus.
Isn't
the
that just
Let- Is Let the girl with the furry ears?
Yes.
Is she
actually,
a champion? Okay, she was
No,
cool.
no. Oh, actually, I don't think so. My bad. I was saying yes, that was her name or their name.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, she's not.
Oh, poopy! I
Oh.
clicked on something. You're gone. Or was that? Did you do that to yourself, or did I do it?
I think
Kayla-
it was me. Hello?
Well, we don't need your face.
I hear you. I hear you.
We hear you.
I kicked my cable
Oh,
for my camera. Can I come back? I might have to end this show not on camera.
that's okay. I can always put a picture over you later.
All right.
We'll
Sorry,
fix it.
I don't know what to do. It's not detecting my camera anymore.
We'll fix it in post. You know.
Yeah.
So what they
True.
say. Is that what the kids say?
We'll
Yeah.
fix it in post, you know.
Yes, Arcane was amazing. What a good ride. I can't wait to see where they go next with the stories and the characters. I know they did share that there's 3 other regions they're excited to visit.
Hell yeah.
I think we'll see some characters again.
We have to, right? Like we
got
have
to. Yeah.
Like cameos or like full story.
I think we might get like some maybe like 2 episode situations for a couple of. I feel like obviously they're working on shows, but I could definitely see them doing like 2 episodes of something, right? Like
Yeah.
True.
something that's not like doesn't take too long to produce and keeps. They're gonna have to figure out a way to keep people like involved with this story because like man, 3 years. I mean, that's not too long, but that's a long time for 9 episodes. Just 9, you
Yeah.
know?
That's valid.
It's a long time.
But yeah, I'm excited for what's to come and what has been, and for you guys for talking about it with us. Thanks for coming,
Yes.
Jordan.
Of course. Thanks for
Jordan,
having
you were
us.
here. Thank you. Appreciate you and your organizational skills and keeping me
Yes.
from rambling.
I tried, you know, and
I mean, we're
when-
still here, but
when we need to let you loose, we need to let you loose, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't need to be loose
exactly.
ever.
If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next time. Let's grab Arcane because we're limping out of the show.
Yeah, we were
Yes.
literally, her camera's not working anymore.
No, I don't know what happened. Ah!
All right, y'all. Bye.
We lost our Kayla. Bye.
Oh, man.
Bye. Oh no. Bye.